In this video, I'm going to show you how to put together a really quick workbench situation that's easy to put up and easy to take down. That's what I love about this. Now, I'm using these two plastic Stanley sawhorses, and they're really light. And they're not that bad. They don't cost that much. I think these are like 15 bucks each maybe. And they're supposed to hold 800 pounds each, which is a considerable amount. And they do store pretty easy. So they fold up and like that. And two sawhorses. And so here's the ingredients for this. The two sawhorses, and I like the ones with the notches, and I'm going to show you why. Buy yourself two 2x4s by 8 feet long, and this is the base, alright? And I like to crown them, and crowning a piece of wood is to find out where the curve is. So just to exaggerate, just like a curve like this, so what you can do is just hold it up, and it's important to do this when you're in the lumber store to see how the pieces of wood look. So you can have a curvy going this way or that way. I try and get a straight one, and you can have it also curving, you know, on the side too. So try and get the straightest piece. And then what I like to do, this is a let's get a tape measure. And I like to, for an 8-foot piece, I like to spread it apart about 4 feet to sawhorses. And then put these in the middle. And they don't have to be so ragged, so they'll fit right in the slots. Okay, you may have to push down a bit. See if you can see the whole thing. Okay, let's set the other one in. So I like to crown up. Okay, so the curve is facing up. And let's see. And then we're going to put a 2x4 by 1/2 inch piece of plywood on. It's out already. Let me just take this off and move it. And you can do the same with this. I like keeping the belly upwards on a piece of plywood. And okay, so just to adjust accordingly, you see that this is out of it. So let's see if I can slide that down and have it right on the edge. Almost. Okay. You want to make this actually relatively square. So when I say that, you want the same amount of distance between 2x4 and here. It's there. I'm just guessing. Alright, well, this one slides easier, so I'm going to use this one to adjust. Okay, so there's the first piece. And here's the second piece. Now the reason why I got two 2x4 pieces is they're pre-cut like this. Okay, so we have it lined up. So here's the first 2x4 piece of plywood. I'm saying 2x4, some of you may think, you know, 2x4 like this. No, it's a 2 foot wide by 4 foot 1/2 inch piece of plywood. And why I have two of these instead of one continuous piece is you can buy these like this pre-cut in either Lowe's or Home Depot. Okay, so let's put the second piece on. All right. And you know, there's a little crown in this plywood too, so I'm keeping that faced up. And all right, what some people like to do, especially if it's going to be set up for a while or you're on a job site, is to just put a couple screws to keep them in place so it's not sliding around. And so there you go. Some people may want to put a chop saw on this. It's great to use with clamps to hold pieces of wood down. You know, so I got this clamp. That's a Harbor Freight tool. I don't buy much from them, but there are certain things that are decent quality. And where's another clamp? Yeah, here's a Dewalt. Here's a Dewalt clamp. This is way better. So if you're working on a piece of wood and you want to hold it down, here you go, boom. I'll have a link in the description for all these tools that I use. You can either get them from Home Depot or you can click on a link. If you're too lazy to go out and drive to a store, you can have it shipped to you. Either way, so there we go. Instant workbench. And even if you have a small hatchback, like, you know, I have a small subcompact hatchback, and taking this apart is a piece of cake. It'll fit in the back of my car. The 8-foot 2x4s might be questionable. I'd actually be able to run them on top of my dashboard all the way to the back. But of course, you don't have to use a setup this long. You can also do a 6-foot span to make it easy if you have a small car and you want to transport this a lot. Especially if you're a handyman and you're going to a lot of different job sites. You want it to be as portable as ever. You know, and just fit in all your stuff, make it really portable. You know, I'll have something like this, really light and portable, and there you go. Now if you want to fasten the top to the studs, I'll show you how to do it right now. If you want this decently even, just measure like 4 inches. It's about the same on the other side. I like having the overhang so I can put clamps. And I'm actually going to fire this in with a couple of screws. Like maybe 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. I'm going to use like 1.25 screws and countersink it. And actually I'll show you how to do that. Okay, so I'm measuring about 4 inches. It doesn't have to be perfect. It's not going to be that perfect because the 2x4s underneath is going to be a little curvy and everything's curvy. Just get it as close as you can. And then you can draw some lines so we know where to put the screws. Not too many screws. Okay, so I'm going to mark the edges of the 2x4. Smack in the middle right here. And right there. Mark the other side. Move this up so you can see better. There. There. Okay, and what we can do is just measure how far in. It's like 4 3/8. So what I'm going to do is I'm not using a full 8-foot piece of wood or metal to measure, so I'm going to have to put a mark just along the way. 1 3/8. Okay. This is relatively straight. I'm trusting it. Yeah, it's not really curvy. And see, there's a belly and a piece of wood. Okay. And I'm I'm not going to go all the way down, because what I'm going to do is let's move this back. I'm putting in 6 screws on each foot, a piece of wood. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So I'm just going to mark here, here, and then continue it down. There, so 1, 2, 3, and then do the same here. Double check where the stud sits, and at 5 inches there. So 5 here, 5 here, 5 here. All right. I'm not an expert carpenter, kind of like a sloppy carpenter, but I want to get things done quick. Just fine. If this was fine cabinetry, then of course I'd be using way more precise markings. This is not. Okay. Maybe you can slide a piece away, take a peek, see where the 2x4 is, just to double check. You don't have to be perfectly in the middle of the 2x4 when you screw it down. Okay? So there, there, and there. Alright? And just to make it semi-precise, I'll make my mark, my middle screw rather, at the 2-foot mark. Okay, just enough. Start this way. But I got to be careful not to bang into this because I'm moving it around. And I just want to make sure the seam right here is tight and it's butted up against. And then before we start drilling holes, we can just double check to make sure the front end is around 4 inches away. Close enough. And then I'm going to pre-drill some holes in countersink with this. Okay, it's got the built-in countersink on the drill bit. You can even buy a countersink that's separate, and just this part is the only part that's in the bit, or you can buy one that's a combo, which is it's got a progressive drill bit with the countersink on it. And I'm just gonna do 6 holes in each piece on each side. So let me just adjust this. Okay. So I'll go about 1 inch from the end. Double check. I got that little countersink going on. I'll actually lift this and show you. And I'm taking it off the tripod. Okay. You don't have to get too crazy with the countersink, actually, because the action of the drill itself. The action of the screw head itself. When you put it in with this, is gonna force it down into the wood anyway. Alright, so before we put the screws in, let's just touching and countersink just touching the wood. Again, this is not fine cabinetry. It's just getting you a little workshop set. Okay. Tight. Actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to fasten this piece first, right? You're probably thinking that while I'm doing that, and then I'm gonna butt that tight, this side tight up against it, and then finish putting the screws in. Okay, so these are the inch and a quarter screws I'm using for the 1/2 inch. Should go in enough, but not that far. And all right, you don't have to super duper fire it in. All right, that's nice. By the way, I'm using the Milwaukee M12s. I love these things. The torque is great. There's a couple different types of batteries. This battery lasts a little bit longer than the smaller one, obviously. But what I like about this is you can stand it up. All right, as you can't really stand. It's a little awkward, but more portable and it's a lot lighter. So I got a couple of these. I got a couple of the rigid tools. The rigids are kind of heavy and awkward, but these are my main drivers and drills. Drill driver. Okay. And let's do this. I like using the screws with the star bits too, by the way. It's got a nice bite. They don't slip in the meat business. Usually a box of these screws come with the tip. Okay, so we got one more screw here. Okay. And I'll fire it in a little bit more. This way, when you're dragging a piece of wood over this, when you're working on something, it's not catching on the screw head. So these are nice. They're inset. They're flush with the top. And now we're going to do the other side. All right, so we're going to butt this. Make sure the seam is nice and tight, and then do the pre-drills. Way. Alright, don't have to go too deep for countersink. Screw these babies in, make sure the seam is tight, put these 2 star ones in. You know, the countersink went in a little bit too deep, and what I don't like about that is if this is set up for quite a while, it starts collecting a lot of dirt and gook in there, and then when it comes time to take this apart, it's harder to get the bit in there. So the closer you can get to just going the right depth with the countersink, the better. I think I overdid it here. No big deal, I'll figure it out. Just try not to hammer it too hard in. Okay. So, here we go. All right, do a close-up. Take this off the tripod. So, this I countersinked perfectly. This, I went too far. That's what you want to avoid. It's going to now start collecting sawdust and cooking stuff. Now, pretty solid. Thanks for watching. Be sure to click the like button and subscribe. I'm going to have tons and tons of really cool how-to videos on a lot of different things, ranging from carpentry stuff to electronics, stereo, blah, blah, blah. Thanks again.